Hi guys, I want to offer you a simple tip to simplify your C# code and in some cases actually make it super flexible. And there's a specific example we'll be looking at right now. This was featured on a blog post that I created, and that blog post was featured on the Microsoft developers blog. I'll put a link in the description if you're interested in that. So here's a stopwatch class that basically wraps the built-in diagnostic stopwatch that comes with C# and .NET, and you know, pretty simple. You start your stopwatch, you do some stuff, stop it, and then you can log to the console how long that took. And this is how you would do that. You create a new stopwatch, you start it, and do the stuff you want to log, and then stop it and log how long that took. So I'll give you a little example to show you that it actually works. And there we go. That took 31 milliseconds. What happens though when I want to do something like this? Let's say I have 3 database queries and I want to measure them individually. Then I start duplicating all of this code. Start, do this, stop, log. And then I have to do all of that again for this one. Start, stop, log. And then for this one, same thing. It's not very flexible. You're duplicating a lot of code. So functional programming, in this case, can really simplify this. There's a way of refactoring that's referred to as outside-in refactoring. And what that means is you look at your code and you take all of the outer part, and it's usually the part that's being duplicated. So you this here and this here, which is all related to the stopwatch. That's the outer part of that. You would take that and you would basically encapsulate it into a function, and all the stuff inside you make it generic so you can do different things, and I'll show you what I mean. So here's just a really simple function. It's just a function. So here's that duplicated code, the stopwatch, start, stop, log the message. But then using functional programming, and in C# a void function, so a function that doesn't return anything, is called an action. And your action can have, a whole section of code if you want. So what we do is we just call this function, and it's going to do everything for us automatically, and it's going to log what we want. And I'll show you how that works. So let's get rid of all this stuff here. So I'm going to do this. So if I wanted to log all of this, I would just do this. Now again, this is just a simple example. It's not real production code or whatever. This is just to show you how this would work. And I have to tell it that it has a value. So let's see if that works. Chugga chugga chug, there we go. Now the real flexibility of this comes when you want to do some more fancy stuff, I guess. So if I wanted to log all of these separately, it's so much simpler than doing it with the other class that I had, where I had to duplicate like 5 lines of code every single time that I wanted to log these individually. So here, I could just wrap this guy. There we go. So the power of this really comes in the code that you're creating is super readable. Really, like, this is so simple compared to what we had before, and it works. I'll show you. And then there's one more, actually maybe two more things I just want to show you. Now the real cool thing is when you do something like this. If you want to start nesting, there we go. And of course we want to make this look a little nicer. So here I'm logging the performance metrics for do expensive operation 2 and for the do expensive operation. So it's going to log the time for this whole section for both of those functions. But within it, I'm also going to log how long this one took. This isn't even, you can't even do this with this class that I had built here. So you can start nesting these operations. You can, mix and match if you want. And this is super powerful. Now this is just one example where we're logging. But when you're looking at code, you can see these patterns and you can remember, oh yeah, there's a better way to do this. And you can see that this is being logged first, and then it's going to log this guy, and then it's going to log this guy. Now you probably saw I had a second method here. This is the exact same thing. The only difference is instead of passing in a void function, we can pass in a function that returns a value. And in C# you can do that with the func. And if you're familiar with generics, this T just refers to any type, so you can return any type that you want. So all we're doing is the stopwatch, but after we run our action, we're going to store the result of it and then return it. And I'll show you why you might want to do something like that. And right here is where we want to do that. So let's say we're logging things, and right at the end we want to return the result of do expensive operation 3. There you go. So this function returns a string. And this log ms, you can see that it knows, the compiler knows that I'm returning a string. So it's going to use the log ms function that uses the func instead of the action. And then I can return whatever result I wanted to return, and it'll still log that operation. And let me show you here. So you can see it's still doing the same thing as it was before, but now I don't need that temporary variable, and I can return this, and you can nest this one as well. So there's so much power in this. I hope you found this really useful, and if you have any comments, if you enjoyed this, or if maybe you didn't enjoy it, I'm up for any kind of comments that can help me with my videos. Please subscribe if you like this. I'd like to keep making more of these, and I hope you enjoyed this, and hopefully it's a really helpful practical tip for you. I know it is for me. Thank you.